Good evening, everyone. And we have Suresh ji once again here with us on Candid Meena. Welcome, Suresh ji.
Thank you, Jaidev.
Yeah. So, Suresh ji, as we all know that the horrible Delhi blast in Red Fort, and it's a very well coordinated attack. I must say the network, especially it is white collar terrorism. That's what they term it as. And you have, Dr. Umar Nabi who drove the Hyundai i20 car, and you have, this Dr. Shaheen Shahid. She's also worked at Al Falah Medical College in
College.
Faridabad, and all these. This was a very very well planned attack, and so far. So this is the point five war that we have been talking about, the war within India, especially after Operation Sindoor. So, how do you see this? This attack. Do you see more and more sleeper cells every day in various parts of the country? Doing all these attacks.
First, let's step a bit back and look at the things from a broader perspective, Jaidev. Why do terror attacks happen? And what is the motive behind a terror attack? And what is that the terrorist who does the attack or his handlers want? The first thing they want is publicity. For any deaths that happen on the road, there's so much of media coverage, nationally, internationally, so their point of view gets amplified. That is one way of looking at it. Second is what is there in it for the terrorist himself who does the act. There is a self of self satisfaction that I have done something for my religion. Okay, I killed a kafir. I killed enough kafirs in life. Immaterial is the factor that there might have been a couple of Muslims also in that crowd which got killed. The third thing that they seek to do is to motivate a bigger crowd of people to join them in this cause. Now, you look at that from Hamas or any of the major terrorist groups. No matter how many Hamas terrorists you kill, they still keep popping out in their hundreds. What is it that keeps them going? Is the fact that the Shahadat or whatever they want to call it is for a good cause. And the cause is what? Is to have a Kashmir that goes with Pakistan. This is their basic logic that they use. So what do we do as a nation? Look, we they wanted Pakistan, we gave them Pakistan, which is basically a Muslim nation. We gave them that. Why do they keep coming back for more at us? They'll say we want Kashmir. Hypothetically, say we have given them Kashmir. Will they keep quiet? No, they'll say we want something else. We want Punjab. Then they'll say we want Rajasthan. So there's no nation on the earth which will even part with 1 square kilometer of territory these days. They will fight tooth and nail for it. So is India. So is Bharat. So the same case goes for us. Is Jammu Kashmir was the accession to India is out of question now. I mean, it is done and dusted and sealed. There is no question of reopening that part of history. And as we keep saying that we have got Azad Kashmir or what they call Azad Kashmir and what we call as Pakistan occupied Kashmir to be given back to us. Well, that is not going to happen. Let us be practical about it. Pakistan also won't give us a square inch of their territory. Otherwise, Kartarpur corridor should have been ours. Why do you need a visa to visit a Gurdwara which you can see from across the road? That is the point. So here is what these guys do. Now, when Kasab and company traveled from Pakistan to attack Mumbai in 2611, they were a set of bunch of illiterates in a literal sense of the word, who were motivated, trained, and of course financed by the ISI. What did the ISI want? They wanted them to do a certain terrorist act for which their family would be rewarded. Okay, their family would be rewarded. Their family would get money to do it. They would be taken care after their shahadat or whatever sacrifice of these people. Now the problem is very simple: is that if you remove that reward mechanism out of the window, these fellows will think twice before doing anything. I look at the Israeli way of doing it. What do? If they catch a suicide bomber, they go demolish his house. So this guy, before he does any act, will think twice, thrice, 10 times because he knows he is gone, but his family also will go along with him. Now, in case of these doctors who took part in this entire thing, um, I've been discussing this on YouTube channel, Telugu channels all day yesterday, and even a couple of them today, and I've got one more after this. is why do they do it? What motivates them to do it? Or rather, what's the greater harm they're doing to themselves? Now, what I've imagined a patient tomorrow in Bengaluru, Jaydev, going to a Muslim doctor for a treatment. Moment they see his name, they will freeze. They will have a doubt. I mean, no fault of theirs, but that is what it is. They will get a doubt whether I should get treated or not. 90% or even 80% of people really wouldn't matter. They would go ahead if it's a doctor whom they're known from a long time. But the back of the mind, they have this doubt. Is this guy also a jihadi? Is this guy also killing? Or remember that Sri Lankan bomb blast, Jaydev, in which some people were caught, and then they found that one of the doctors, a Muslim, was giving abortion pills to his patients, and those women later had miscarriages. Now, why did he do it? What was his motivation? Obviously, he would say to reduce the population of non Muslims. But look at the bigger damage that you're doing to your calm or your religion as such. And that is what these guys have done. Whether it's a different matter whether he drove a I-20 or an I-10 or he parked at Red Fort or didn't park at Red Fort or he did not detonate it himself. These are all secondary. The fact that they thought about it, the fact that they decided to go and do this activity is itself a big thing. And this is not an overnight kind of decision. This has been going on for months, possibly years. Now, the question is, do we have more sleeper cells? As you asked, yes, there's no doubt about that. There'll be so many guys who look like an ordinary guy, get up in the morning, go buy a packet of milk, come make tea. Then the neighbors watch that he's getting out of his house. He has a backpack. He goes, gets into his car or two-wheeler. He drives to work, comes back in the evening. His colleagues at work notice nothing abnormal about him. A good guy until he turns out to be one of those Red Fort bombers. That is a problem. So the bigger issue here is, Jaydev, is how do you identify these people? And if you read the psychology of suicide bombers, you will realize that some, or rather most of them, are brainwashed into believing that their sacrifice will not go in vain and they should do it for a good cause, as I said before. What they think is a good cause, which is not a good cause at all. And here is what the danger is, because we don't know where the next suicide bomber will come. Remember the old adage, Jaydev, terrorist has to be lucky only once, but the security forces had to be lucky all the time. In this case, to remember, if this guy had been caught in Faridabad or wherever he started off his vehicle from, this could have been avoided. Then that is the question of what happens if other people didn't squeal his name or did not utter his name. Then you would not have known that this guy existed or not. And I saw some few interviews with the family members yesterday of these terrorists, and they're saying, "Oh, my boy is innocent. He will come out." I mean, I'll not be surprised, by the way, because our Supreme Court is so generous in granting bails to terrorists, Sharjeel Imam and others also, Umar Khalid, that they will not hesitate to give bail to these same jokers or these same terrorists 5 years from now when you and me would have forgotten about this Red Fort incident or terrorist attack. This is what is happening. And yesterday, the Supreme Court had a gall to say, not a right day to give a bail to a guy who has been arrested under UAPA. They're about to give it actually, but they're saying it's not the right day. Maybe we'll wait for a couple of weeks till everything thanda ho jayega, then we will give the bail. The problem is that these people are emboldened by the fact that the judiciary of a country will bail you out because, according to them, terrorism is not great shakes. Because the Supreme Court judges never have lost anybody to a terrorist attack. And unless we have very, very strong judicial law, we already have it. There's no shortage of laws that we have UAPA, we have NSA, various other things. But then the problem is the execution part of it. And the terrorists know these loopholes. And that is why what you saw that happened in Delhi day before yesterday may repeat itself in another geography in our country. And we should be prepared for it, mentally prepared for it, as the Israelis do. Try and stop them the maximum number of times. For all you know, there would have been hundreds of attacks which our intelligence agencies had foiled. But then we will never come to know about it because they will never talk about it. And that is a good thing. At the same time, our common people, especially those Congress guys who go on Twitter and ask for Amit Shah's resignation or Prime Minister's resignation or why Prime Minister Modi is in Bhutan and not anywhere else. These guys should be given an answer. And the fact is that, who are these guys who do this terrorist activities? Go ask their families as to why they did it. Go ask them in the jail as to why they did it. And then you will get the answers because the end of the day, for them, it is the destruction of India. As Zulfikar Ali Bhutto famously said once, we will bleed India with 1,000 cuts. And that is what Pakistan is all about. Don't assume that the Pakistani citizens are also innocent in that thing. It's like the Gazans who streamed across the border on October 7th and helped in killing and kind of taking away 1,200 hostages. These are the same characters, Jaydev. No difference between them. So don't sympathize and say, oh, it's only ISI, it's only Pakistani army, it's only Hafiz Saeed, it is only Lashkar-e-Toiba, it's only Jaish-e-Mohammed. The Pakistani citizens are innocent. No, sorry, they are not. They are equally complicit in this. Because for them, end of the day, it is simple that every non-Muslim is a kafir, and a kafir needs to be eliminated. That is the problem.
So, just a few questions. Is that regarding the explosives? That 3,000, 300 kgs of explosives were found in Faridabad. So, my question is, where do they get these explosives? Is a big question.
Well, these are not RDX, which is hard to source. Ammonium nitrate or whatever you wanted, low level explosives are available as fertilizers. They're used in mining operations. So you can always go to the black market and tap them and get it, as much as the mining guys themselves do sometimes. So you have a license to procure that. You procure it and then you divert it. So you have somebody inside the system who gives you access to that. And remember, getting these chemicals is not good enough to do an operation. You need somebody to assemble it. And that's what the Delhi police is saying, that this was not assembled properly. That is why it went off prematurely. Otherwise, this guy was planning to take it to Connaught Place or somewhere in central Delhi and blast it, which would have killed hundreds of people. So he was not an expert in it. He was a doctor. He was not an engineer. And let me remind you, very famous engineer who went by the name Osama bin Laden, and his deputy, who went by an equally famous name, is Ayman al-Zawahiri, a doctor. These were also educated people, Jaydev, and you know the damage they did to the world. So don't be surprised. Don't say that it's only illiterate fellows. It's no, I'm in school, 10वीं class pass nahi hua, these kind of characters. No, sorry. Today you have guys who are highly motivated, who don't think twice before accepting such assignments. For them, the cause, their religion is bigger than what they do in the profession. They're willing up to give the profession for the good of their religion. They don't want others to survive. And India is a prime target for it. And we Indians are so foolish, so foolish. We talk of secularism and all that kind of crap. Till one day, like the Jews had, they will come knocking at your doorstep. And then then they will realize that it is too late to call for help because you believed in this nonsense called secularism. And that's what is going to happen to Indians. And mark my word, it will happen because we are kind of complicit in the entire thing. We want to be bhaichara. We want aman ki asha, all that nonsense. Sorry, it doesn't work that way. Look at Saudi Arabia today. Will they permit a demonstration for Hamas or for even Gaza in their territory? They will throw the guys into the jail who or even takes out a Palestinian flag because the Saudis know the threat very well. Or same goes for UAE, Bahrain, or any of those nations, maybe except Qatar. This is what it is, Jaydev. The Islamic nations have also realized the threat long before us. So they don't talk of secularism or any other kind of nonsense. For them, also, a terrorist is a terrorist is a terrorist. Simple as that.
Yeah. Also, we have to, wonder how about the financial transactions? Is it being monitored for such groups, such terrorist groups inside India? Whether it is some cryptocurrency which is being used.
Well, there are various ways to funnel the money in and out, Jaydev. We know it very well. The Hawala transaction, despite demonetization, is still very active. We all know where the money comes and where the money goes, be it politicians, be it businessmen, or be it terrorists. They all have the way to funnel the money. I mean, today you know that the Chinese funds a lot of Indian media houses. What has the government done against them? Like simple question, except for NewsClick, Danya Rajendran. No, even Danya Rajendran is walking around pontificating about various things in life. Rana, are you? These people are being financed openly. They're being given scholarship in foreign educational institution. I saw a guy from Wire who got a scholarship, full course scholarship at Columbia, and he was just an ordinary guy. But luckily for us, his visa was denied to the US by the US government because they knew he was a bigger threat than our government. It's time we lock up all these people. It's time the Supreme Court Chief Justice is called to the Rashtrapati Bhavan and told by the President that they're equally complicit in the terrorist act happening in the country. Bail is not a rule, jail is, according to me. And if you start giving left, right, and center bail to terrorists, they will be emboldened to carry out more such activities. And one day, the Chief Justice himself will realize this problem.
Yeah. Also, Sureshi, Hyderabadi doctor arrested in Gujarat with drones smuggled weapons from Pakistan and materials to produce the deadly toxin ricin. So this is also another tactic used by the Pakistanis.
See, as I said before, Jaydev, Pakistan will do it. It is, I mean, don't expect Pakistan to be a Mahatma here. They are going to destroy India. That is there. They exist because of that reason. From Muhammad Ali Jinnah to the last guy down in Pakistan, this is what they want: destruction of India because they can't stand us. They can't stand a success story called India because they were created on the same day or rather a day before, on 14th of August 1947. But they didn't come anywhere near to where Bharat is today. So Pakistan financing, Pakistan bankrolling, Pakistan giving logical support for making ricin, they will do it. The question is, what are we doing to stop these guys? You see these encounters sometimes in UP, Bihar, even recently in Tamil Nadu also. Before that in Hyderabad in the Disha case. Why is it that we know these encounters are fake? All of us know it. But then none of us raise a voice against it because we know that these same guys, if they are caught and taken to the court, will walk free after a few years. They will be doing the same thing again. So, be it street justice or vigilante justice or whatever you want to call it, extrajudicial killings, so be it. Do it. Doesn't matter. If you ask me, that is what should have happened to these so-called doctors. Of course, we need them in custody because we need to know where this entire thing starts and where it is going. They are needed till then because then the Supreme Court will say, oh, where are the human rights of this guy? What are the human rights of the people who were killed in the Delhi roads or even before that in 2611 or the Mumbai train blast, the Bengaluru blast, the Coimbatore blast, the German bakery blast, the Samjhauta Express blast? What about their human rights? Nobody asks about human rights of the victims. It's only the human rights of the terrorists that our judges or my lords are worried about. The Kapil Sibals of the world, the Indira Jaisinghs of the world, they are in this business. And they are the most dangerous people than the terrorists themselves. As dangerous as the handlers sitting in Pakistan. So there, Jaydev, it's very, very simple. Is producing a ricin is not a child's game. It's a long process from castor oil. And there lies a trick that you've learned the trick of the trade. That either you know the in and out of the pharma stuff, that you can produce ricin, which a few grams of it in a water tank can kill the entire population of that town or the village. and there'll be no trace of it in your postmortem anywhere. These are modern things. I mean, these have been used by the Israelis against their enemies. These have been used by the Soviets against their dissidents, using it on the tip of an umbrella. These are things done, except that they are used by the secret service organizations or the so called intelligence agencies against their enemies. If ricin has become a thing today, tomorrow it will be something else. It can be arsenic poison, for example, which happens very slowly before you realize it. And this is what it is: educated young men and women who are devoted to a cause for their religion. And make no mistake, don't say that this is an isolated incident. You know what? These are people who are led astray. These are people who got brainwashed. Absolute nonsense. These are people who knew what they were doing and were prepared to die for it. And that is what makes a terrorist.
Do you think our Indian intelligence agencies are, can do something about it?
There is a limit to which Shin Bet, Mossad, and others can do in case of Israel. There is so much of so that FSB can do in case of Russia, the MI6 in UK, the CIA in the US. Was 9/11 prevented by the CIA? It's such an extensive operation across the world. No, they didn't. They were caught on the wrong foot because they never imagined that an aircraft can be hijacked and taken and crashed into a building. It was never factored into the scheme of things till it happened. So if you expect our intelligence agencies, and that's what I hear from people saying, oh, you know what, our intelligence has failed. What were they doing? They were sleeping. Boss, you were sleeping. And then when they were working, they were working for you. They didn't tell you that they caught so many terrorists the last 1 year or few years from last 5 years or 10 years. They did, but they will never speak about it because the moment you start speaking about how one guy was caught, the next guy who's planning to it will change his methodology. And that is what happens. So our intelligence agencies give them the credit for it. Intelligence is not something that you serve on a plate, it has to be sourced. Human intelligence and technical intelligence. And we all know how that works. One works on pure bribe, a human greed, and the second one works with the technology part of it. Reading every email, reading every WhatsApp, reading every telegram and signal among the millions and billions of messages that pass through each day. Till you observe a pattern that there is something happening. There's a lot of chatter happening in some rooms. And this is what it is. So our agencies are doing the job, rest assured. They're not sitting there and twiddling their thumbs. Give them the credit for it. Because you don't know the 99 incidents, terrorist incidents they stopped. You only know about that one incident that slipped through them. And it's not that they didn't know, they knew. They caught these people. They caught three within a matter of 24 hours, and the fourth guy escaped before they could reach there. The only thing I have to tell you is one thing the Indian police should learn from the international agencies, including what happened in UK the other day or France. When they catch a terrorist or a terrorist suspect, they don't announce it in the media. They quietly do their work. They don't tell we caught 2,200 kilos of this at this location because the next guy in the chain gets immediately alerted. And that's what happened in this Faridabad module. Till you crack the complete conspiracy, don't speak to the media. Don't tell the media what's happening. Finish your job, then speak about it. Because then you can net everybody who is in that circle. And that's important.
Yeah. So coming to the last point is this is quite interesting. Is that the Russia claims to have uncovered a secret network linked to Pakistan's ISI, allegedly trying to smuggle some sensitive air defense technology out of Moscow. So this is a revelation, and this is as we know, especially after the way Operation Sindoor, you had the S-400s and all those things. So this is a big revelation, isn't it?
Do you think, Jaydev, Pakistan wanted this technology? Or Pakistan wanted this aircraft design? No. They would. It's like giving a coconut to a monkey. They wouldn't know what to do with it. They wanted it for somebody else, and that somebody else, in my suspicion, is the United States of America. Pakistan was doing a job for the US at their bidding. So the US are interested in what the Russians are doing. The Pakistanis are not. For them, these kind of technologies wouldn't make any sense. Even if you give them the complete blueprint, they can't do it. They were doing it for somebody, and my suspicion is this: because the Cold War era is not over yet, and especially after the Ukraine war, definitely the CIA would be interested in knowing how come Putin is still fighting this war. Where is he making his stuff? Where are the military manufacturing being done? What are the designs being used? What kind of air defenses does Russia use to counter the Ukrainian missiles, most of which are from the European countries and some from the US? How is it that Ukraine has not been able to make a massive break into the air defenses of Russia, despite the war going on for what, 2 to 3 years now? These are questions. And this is there with every other country. If you remember the old days, I doubt it was, I think it was an Egyptian pilot flying a MiG, was enticed away by Israel and landed in Israel, and then they just stripped the entire aircraft apart, and they came to know how the Russians make it and how they can counter it. And not the Israelis, especially the US wanted it actually. But then, since it was being used against Israel at that point in time by Egypt and other nearby countries, they found it pretty useful to counter it. The Chinese do it. They take a design, strip it apart, and then make a copy of it. So obviously, it is not Pakistan or Pakistan's army was interested in this Russian stuff. It is obviously being done for the US government and the US intelligence agencies who wanted to know what the Russians are doing. And I'm not surprised actually. This is something that you need to expect in today's world. For example, our research and analysis wing would be doing something very similar, which we are not supposed to know. Or even if you know, you're not supposed to speak. So rather, Pakistan is doing a hit job for the US because they are like a subcontractor basically. The US wants something, they tell Pakistan, go get it. We're giving you the money, we are paying you, so get this job done for us. This is a dirty job. We want to dirty our hands. We want you to dirty your hands. And that's what Pakistan is doing. They're doing it the bidding of the US. As simple as that, Jaydev. Otherwise, there's nothing in it for Pakistan. I mean, the Chinese will give them air defense system. The Pakistanis didn't even know how to operate some of the air defense system. The Chinese were sitting there and doing it during Operation Sindoor as much as the Turkish were there directing the drones, loading of drones that was happening. Pakistan doesn't have that much of talent. They might have some great pilots, that's fine. But what beyond that? They don't have an ISRO. They don't have a DRDO. They don't have any of what we have in terms of the high. They don't have a unit to make BrahMos. This is the difference. So obviously, go get it, copy it, smuggle it, get it somehow, give it to Uncle Sam, and he'll be more than happy. He'll give you $1 billion extra aid next year so that you don't have to go. Pakistan doesn't have to go around with a begging bowl or a bigger begging bowl.
Yeah, that was a wonderful session, Suresh. And thanks for coming again, and we will see you again next week.
Sure. Thanks, Jaydev.
Yeah,
Thanks for
thanks.
having me on, and I'm sure I'll be more than happy to answer any questions that our viewers may have in the comment section. Thank you very
Sure,
much.
sure. Thank you. Jai Hind
Thank
and Jai Shri Ram.
Jai Hind.